Hello guys, welcome to G's watercolor class again. So today we're going to learn some basic skills for watercolor. So I have this, type of names for the techniques that we're going to learn today, and I'm going to take a picture of this so then I can upload on the Scrology or the YouTube so that you guys can actually copy these and sketch out before you start the project, right? So very basic solid wash and graded wash, right? So I'm just going to pick my favorite color, ultramarine color, and then I'm just sort of putting basic solid wash color, right? And then I'm going to pick out more paint and sort of like making that dark wash, and then I'm washing my brush off, dab it, and bring the colors down. Okay, so that's a graded wash. So before we do glazing, which is I call dry to dry, so we're gonna do both sides. So I'm gonna do light green, put solid color over there, and I'm gonna show you guys different sort of skill to glaze the color. So I made a 2-section. Another thing is wet to wet skill. What we do, we put some water into the paper, and then you pick out the color that you like. I'm picking vermilion hue, and sort of drop here and there. What I like to do, I like to mix some colors. So I'm going to pick red, purple color, and I'm going to put it around, okay? And then what you can do brown, dry wash, right? So I'm using brown color. I wash my brush, dip into the paper towel or just the fabric that you can use, and then use, dry brush. This is good for, the texture in the trees or splash of the water or animal hairs, right? So that's good for dry brush. I don't normally use dry brush because I don't think that's that charming to use the medium of like watercolor itself. Anyways, and then what you can do like a random mark making or scrambling, right? Which means you can do a lot in the bush area and the tree, or like nature object, which means you sort of making, random marks that you don't know what shape it is, or you can recognize like exact size. You don't need to think about that. You just putting random marks, And then we're gonna see opaque color and transparent color. I'm gonna use purple color. You just need to use a lot of paint to make opaque color, right? And then you mix it out, mix more water, transparent. That's very basic, you know that, right? So then pushing pigment out technique is tricky. You're supposed to use flat brush because of COVID-19 situation. I know that you guys don't have a lot of materials at home, so I'm just going to show you with regular brush. So what I do, I have enough water in my brush, enough paint in my brush, right? Dab it. You start from the bottom, Take it out. Take it out. Out. Lift it up. Up. Okay? I'm gonna use another skill to fade it out. I'm gonna show you the skill later on. Just doing it again because I wanted to show you guys the name of what technique it is, right? So, washing it off. Wipe out brush or paper towel, right? So, which means, let's say I'm putting cerulean blue. Again, enough water, enough paint. Put that color down. What I'm doing is, I'm taking out my Kleenex, wipe it out. This is really good for larger area or sky or water. And you also have wet the brush, dab it into the fabric or paper towel. You press the brush out. So you see how I'm lifting the color away. And detail works. You're gonna use tip of the brush a lot. What I'm gonna show you is, you know, single leaves. How you do the single leaves is that, again, you put enough water, enough pigment. You start from the tip of the brush. You push down, and then you slowly take it off. You see that? Again, you are starting the brush mark from the tip of the brush. Press a little bit. Take it off. Again, using the tip of it, right? You can even finish with the tip of the brush. It's okay if it's not one shot. See? For the lift or the feather out technique, I recommend putting down the color first. So I'm putting Viridian color. And then I'm gonna wait until it dries. Scratching part 2. I'm gonna put cobalt blue. Again, enough water, enough paint. Dab a little bit. You let it dry. Hard and soft edges. I'm going to show you with a little bit of magenta mixed with red. Purple color. Magenta and red purple color. So you start from the side and you paint, right? And then you're going to wash your brush. Dab it into the fabric so you don't have too much water in your brush. And then you sort of softening the edges on the other side. So you see how this is more clean, this is soft. Okay? I'm not going to show you the tape, masking tape and fluid version of the skill today because we're not going to be able to use that. So now I'm going to show you the glazing part. I'm going to use a little bit of not colder green, but darker green over the glazing part. It's still transparent. You see that? Right? And then dry to dry, which means the same thing. What I'm trying to do is that I'm not trying to use the same direction of the brush marks. I'm trying to change the direction of the brush marks. And then I'm going to use a little bit of magenta mixed color. And then lift or feather out means you wash your brush, okay? Dab it into the fabric. So make sure you don't have too much water in there. You start to lift the color off. You make it dry on a brush. It's better when it's dry, like all the way dry. Okay? How can you check? When you check the temperature of the paper, if it's not dried yet, it's still cold. If it's dried, it's the same temperature. Okay? And the scratching part, you can use either palette knife or roll it. Anything that you have sharpened, you scratch off the paper. This is good for making textures. It makes darker marks when it's not wholly dried yet, like as you see some darker marks. If it's a wholly dried, it makes a lighter color on the top of that. So what I recommend for this week, practice its skills for probably not just one mark. Make the chart bigger and then have a bigger area. So you practice one skill for like 5 times, okay? So that's the homework, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you.